What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is The Flash Season 3, Episode 2, Paradox. As I've said in my past couple reviews, this is coming very late because I've had a busy week, finally catching up on all the shows. I feel like I'm going to have to say that 3 or 4 more times. But anyway, let's talk about this episode. Pretty emotional, pretty crazy, but all around really good. First of all, you've got Barry returns to his timeline to find that, we saw at the end of the last episode, not everything is as it should be. We figure out that Iris and Joe are not talking because of what happened with Iris's mother. In the regular timeline, she's already forgiven him, but in this one, she's still holding a grudge, so for some reason that changed. We find out that Cisco's brother died because of a drunk driver hitting him. That sucks. We find out that... There's a couple other things. Apparently John and his wife had a boy now instead of a girl. I don't know why that changes. Here's the thing. I'm thinking about all of this stuff and I'm just like, how are some of these changes happening? It would make sense for certain things, but it seems like the smallest tiny little things are changing out of nowhere. Like, why? I'm confused how all of these changes came about and what Reverse Flash did to cause this stuff. But anyway, remember the final change. Caitlin, we discovered at the end of this episode, has become Killer Frost again. So that's interesting. So let's talk about the story for this one. We have what is essentially Barry finds out that Rival is now in this timeline as well. He knows about the other timeline because reasons. we don't really know why yet. They introduced the main villain of this season, which is Alchemy, which I love the fact that at first I was like, are they going to do like a fake out where, oh look, it's not a speedster, guys, and then all of a sudden here comes Rival again and now he's the main villain. No, Rival is just kind of the villain for right now for these first 2 episodes. But it seems like Alchemy, whoever he is, whatever he does, he's going to be the main villain for this season. That's exciting to see. I don't know what they're going to do with this, but it feels like they can do whatever they want to with this concept they got going. So, very interesting to see what he can do exactly. He gives the guy back his speed powers. I can't remember the guy's name. He calls himself Rival because that's a brilliant name. I'm your rival. I'm going to call myself Rival. I'm so clever. Anyway, so the majority of the episode, though, is Barry fighting him and also Barry finding out what has changed and trying to sort of make amends for that. What I really liked about this episode is the emotion behind it was really good. You have these moments between Barry and Cisco, between Barry and Iris, between Barry and Joe. The emotion is there, and they really put their all into this episode. I really can't think of what else to say besides that. Just the emotion is not always there in some shows. Sometimes they don't handle the emotion right. Sometimes it feels like the emotion is unrealistic. But you truly understand a lot of the reasoning in this episode. I mean, even at first I was like, Barry, why don't you just tell them you came from another timeline? And then he's talking to Felicity. He's like, I can't tell them that I changed the timeline because I'm the one that caused all this. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So I love the fact that they're explaining it. They're making good reasons for him to not go tell them, even though it seems like it should be kind of an obvious thing. But ultimately he does tell them when things get a little bit crazy. He's going back to change the timeline again because he thinks, okay, this time I'm going to fix it for good. Well, Jay Garrick steps in, his father's doppelganger, and says, you need to stop because you've already messed it up twice. You need to stop now. Great little speech between them. I mean, I love that scene between them, and it makes me wish that his dad hadn't died last season because scenes like this just really, really work, and the chemistry between them is great. But I think one of my favorite lines for this one is just, he's talking to him, he's like, we're not gods, Barry, we're men. We make mistakes. We can't do everything. I love that. Because a lot of the times it does kind of feel like, oh yeah, Barry's got this speed and now he's just unstoppable. Now he can do whatever he wants. We're seeing that he's got the ability, but he's not using it properly, and he's now experiencing the consequences of a mistake using these abilities. You know, he's not a bad guy. He's not evil by any stretch of the imagination, but he made a mistake. You know, he used his powers in the wrong way, and now it's costing him. I love the fact that we're kind of dealing with that, and who knows, maybe Alchemy is a result of the timeline changing, who knows. But it seems like a lot of the antagonists so far in these first two episodes is not Alchemy, it's not Rival, it's Barry himself. It's the choices that he made. He's having to deal with the consequences. That's an interesting storyline that not a whole lot of shows go into. You know, how many shows go into the fact of, oh yeah, this season you're going to have to deal with the choices you made, the bad choices you made. Deal with that. No bad guy, just your horrible choices. That's an interesting concept to take on. I think they're using it very well. The timeline thing itself, I was worried he was going to go back and then change it again. So the fact that Jay Garrick steps in and kind of stops him, like, okay, thank you, we're not going to go change it yet again. It seems like they're sticking to this timeline, which is kind of sad. You know, Cisco losing his brother is probably one of the most emotional scenes in this episode. You know, when Barry goes to talk to him, and he'd already made an offhand comment about, if you want to go save somebody you care about, you would just do it, but you won't do it for my brother, without even knowing that Barry had actually gone back in time to save his mom. So when Barry finally tells him that, it's just like, so you go and do this for yourself, but you won't do it for me. And so Barry has to go talk to him. It's just like, look, I can't do it again. If I do it, I won't be able to fix everything. You know, something bad will still happen. And he's just like, I don't care, I want my brother. And it's very emotional, very, very heart-wrenching. But anyway, I like what they did with this episode. I like all this stuff with the time travel, with the Flashpoint. You know, it's very interesting stuff going on, and it makes me curious to see what else is going to happen this season. On top of that, because Legends of Tomorrow is connected to this show, they've got the time travel element as well, but not as, I guess it's a bit more free-flowing than the Flash is, you know, because for the Flash it's just Barry travels back in time, changes that point, comes back, he's living in another timeline. For Legends of Tomorrow, it feels like they're just sort of going through time, so it kind of makes you wonder, like, how they can affect stuff. Could they possibly go back and change the timeline back to how it's supposed to be? And, you know, obviously the Speed Force has a lot to do with the time travel in the Flash series, so it's a different type of time travel than what's going on in Legends of Tomorrow. But how is that all going to affect, you know, the other shows? I'm curious to see what they're going to do there. They've got a really good concept going with all of these shows. Who knows what they're going to do? I'm excited. Hopefully you are too. Let me know down in the comment section below what you thought of this episode. What did you like and dislike? What did you think was good? What did you think was bad? All that stuff. Let me know. We can talk about it and all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Flash reviews, and I'll see you at the next one. Peace out.